Here.
Mr. Majeski?
Yes.
Mr. DeRosa?
Yes. We need a motion to approve the regular monthly minutes, April 11th, 2022.
So moved. Seconded.
Voice vote, Mr. Skrydrich?
Yes.
Mr. Majeski?
Yes.
Mr. DeRosa?
So moved. Seconded.
Voice vote, Mr. Skrydrich?
Yes.
Mr. Majeski?
Yes.
Mr. DeRosa?
Yes. Amy, you have your report?
I do. In your package, you'll find the agenda and the meeting materials from the May 5th, 2022 board meeting of the Steel Rivers Council of Governments held at the Human Service Center in Homestead, PA. Guest speaker was Kate Vanderweed, manager of the Allegheny County Department of Human Service Crisis Prevention and Response. She spoke regarding the 988 Alternative Response Pilot Program. Interested pilot partner municipalities will utilize system resources beginning in July of 2022 and participate in the program until additional capacity is in place to handle full program marketing and rollout beginning in July of 2023. The 988 Alternative Resolution Program will work in conjunction with 911 Emergency Response and will specifically respond to behavioral health-related 911 calls while freeing up officer time to focus on call types that demand their expertise. More specific information on this program and other DHS services are included in your packets for your review. The financial summaries, reports, lists of bills paid, and profit and loss report were approved as attached. The updated year-to-date regional asset district tax disbursement report is included in your packet. Discussion was held regarding the possibility of creating an associate membership category for fire departments. Through such COG associate memberships, COG would assist local fire departments apply for government grants. The director, president, and solicitor will draft a model for such membership and present it to the board for further discussion. For clarification purposes, the grant assistance will be limited to funding which is restricted for fire departments only, and this assistance will not dilute the grant funding sought by member municipalities through existing grant programs. Discussions are continuing with Allegheny County regarding the regional training complex located on lands owned by the county adjacent to Round Hill Regional Park. The current lease expires in 2025. The county is looking to develop approximately 400 unused acres adjacent to the training complex firing range, and public access is an issue. The county is conducting a study on the viability of having a frisbee golf course and a dog park adjacent to the regional training complex. U.S. Steel will hold a public meeting with representatives of the Allegheny County Health Department at the Clairton Municipal Building Wednesday, May 11th, that's this Wednesday, at 6 p.m. Those wishing to address the panel must sign up 24 hours in advance. Clean Air Trust Fund applications are currently being accepted via the Allegheny County website. Subscribers will receive notifications via text, email, or phone calls on days with higher levels of air pollution. The merging of the 911 call services for EPD 1 and EPD 3, which would combine call dispatch services for 11 South Hills communities, has been suspended pending further discussion. A meeting of local emergency service managers will be held at McKees Point Palisades and McKeesport on May 25th, 2022 at 10 a.m. regarding this subject. RSVPs are required by May 20th, 2022.
Amy.
Yes.
Can you expand on that a little bit, brought that up, and what are the issues?
I think, like everyone else, they're having staffing issues.
Okay.
And I think the 911 call center is trying to, utilize the folks that they have. They are looking to obviously service the department, but there is some concern regarding, from local municipalities that have expressed concern, because we would share the same dispatch channel as Clairton and McKeesport and other municipalities that have heavy call volume. They said, what would happen if you have issues that come up that are serious issues at the same time, and you have one operator that's doing dispatch? They're assuring us that there would be a way to handle that, although that way, I haven't been in on the particular conversations and don't know their proposed solutions. As I was about to say, they're gonna have this meeting, and I think it's gonna be a good meeting with all the people that rely on that system, so that they come up with the right solution for all these communities, because with the 988, even with the implementation of 988, we certainly don't want those types of resources stretched too thin. Let's see, resolutions 7/2022R through 9/2022R were passed as outlined in the packets, including authorization of a sanitary sewer replacement construction contract for Clarendon Municipal Authority, the application for Act 152 blight removal grant funds for COG member municipality applicants, and grant application with the Redevelopment Authority of Allegheny County for the Riverfront Walking Trail Project in Elizabethboro, respectively. Reading Ready Pittsburgh has been approved as a new tenant in the Human Services Center, as further detailed on the meeting agenda in your packets. The 14-month lease will run through June 2023 and will generate an additional $6,633 per year for COG who owns the building. Baker Music School applied for and was denied a short-term lease space for one-week music camp in June. As a for-profit camp, the COG board declined the prospective lease because the Human Service Center may only be used for activities of nonprofit organizations. COG hired a second intern who will assist the COG in the Tri-COG Land Bank through May 27th, 2023. Most of the costs will be covered by the Land Bank budget. The portion for which COG is responsible would be covered via budgeted funds and would not result in a dues increase to member municipalities. COG board received the request and authorized Executive Director Ann Lewis to send a letter in support of the Allegheny County Port Authority grant application to the Federal Transit Administration's 2022 Bus and Bus Facilities Program. The application seeks $11,200,000, which is 80% of the $14 million total project cost to replace painting, wash, and lift facilities at the West Mifflin Port Authority garage. Member municipalities are asked to consider sending letters of support. Should you desire to do so, you may use Ann Lewis's letter as a sample draft. The community development report is included in your packet and reflects the county's receipt of the CD 47 grant contract for approved demolition of blighted property in Forward Township. The Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission is investigating lack of preventative easement maintenance by local utility providers. I noted that there are many instances of low-hanging lines and trees laying on the wires in Forward Township, as well as other member municipalities. Tammy Ferda is sending a letter in response to the PUC, and she will include our local feedback in her letter to the PUC. The next COG meeting will be held June 2nd of 2022 at the Human Service Center in Homestead, PA. This will be the last in-person COG meeting before the summer break. Any time-sensitive information from COG will be shared with me and or the municipal office via email and will be included in my monthly reports as appropriate. Should you have any questions regarding these or any other COG matters, don't hesitate to let me know.
Yeah, I'll give the statement. I'm sure most of you are here to listen about the police situation. So I'm going to read a statement that's similar to the one that I read at the Elizabeth Township meeting. Specific discussions relating to this township's police officers would qualify under the personnel exception to the Sunshine Act. Forward Township does not comment on personnel-related executive session items. I will say that in the terms of providing services to Forward, the idea has been loosely discussed for years. In the days leading up to April 11th, a possible agreement became clear. On the evening of April 11th, for those that were here, I know most of a big chunk of us that are here tonight were there that evening, know that on April 11th, a motion was made to approve a joint municipal agreement with Forward Township. Since that date, Elizabeth Township Police Department has provided coverage for all of Forward Township. Elizabeth Township has also recently hired 3 new officers to account for anticipated losses and additional coverage issues. Several officers are also here this evening to meet the residents and discuss any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Before I introduce the chief, I want to offer a few remarks for Ford Township supervisors. The functioning administration of Ford Township Police Department, internal problems associated with it are not new to the board. And our unanimous decision to address these issues has been a long time coming. Legal considerations prevent us from discussing these issues in detail in public. But it's precisely these issues and problems with and within the Ford Township Police Department that caused us to reach out to Elizabeth Township Board of Commissioners. The number one priority of this Board of Supervisors is public safety. And if we fail as a board to provide public safety and protection to the people and property, we would expect the citizens and voters of Ford Township to hold us accountable. Our mission to provide professional, efficient, cost-effective, independent policing through an intermunicipal agreement with Elizabeth Township. Our negotiated agreement with Elizabeth Township is a 1-year, 60-day opt-out clause if either parties decide to exist the agreement. Like any agreement, contract, or relationship, it will only work if both sides want it to work. It was not an easy or hasty rush decision by the Board of Supervisors. We had problems within the police department for some time, and we needed to act. Contrary to critics, this intermunicipal agreement has been properly vetted and publicly noticed. Our solicitors will be confident that we have complied to the right to know act. I think it was 1953, we joined jointures with Elizabeth Ford School District. So we have an agreement with Elizabeth Township for the school district. Then we have an agreement with Elizabeth Township for the Fallen Timber Run Sewage Department. And then we have an agreement, I think it's 1956, with Elizabeth Borough for the sewage up in that area. So we have three intermunicipal agreements, and now we're working to provide police protection services for the people of Ford Township. Chief, you want to have something? You have anything?
Sure, just monthly I'll attend these meetings. I'll provide statistical data as to police activity, and I'll stay here after the meeting adjourns to answer any questions or meet the public. Here in attendance today is Officer Christopher McBride, and back behind him is Sergeant Adam Blake. They're just two members of our team. They too will be here. It's just an opportunity. I know a lot of people are strangers to many people in the room, and they want to have an opportunity to meet the community we serve. In the month of April 2022, and that's how it'll work, I'll always give a monthly report of the prior month for this meeting. We were dispatched to 156 calls for service. We conducted 56 traffic stops, wrote 10 moving citations, and we had 1 traffic accident on Middle River Road related to a motorcycle. We also did an investigation on Peach Street for illegal dumping, and we worked a harassment report where there was a criminal citation issued on Staffing Lane. Elizabeth Township continues to patrol 8-hour shifts, 7 days a week, and we have had somebody west of Route 51 since 11 p.m. on April.
Any questions?
It's fine.
I do. How come the council approved the PD budget for forward for 318, signed and approved, and we're paying them 375? If it was a budget issue.
I don't know exactly if that's on the budget or not. I mean, on.
Yeah, 318,974.
Well, the agenda, that's always subject to change throughout the year. You can't hold yourself to that every time.
So you've been saying for how long now it was a budget issue? Why didn't you up forward's budget?
Let me tell you
You're
something.
giving,
about
the
budget,
difference is
okay?
$57,000 for ET.
May I speak? Thank you, Sandy. Let me tell you something about the budget. Everybody's throwing these numbers around. We prepare a budget consistent with the chart of accounts that the township and state have had for a long period of time. People look at the road crew. And they see a number, salary and so forth. may think, oh, that's what it costs to do. No, because the insurance, the health insurance, the liability insurance, and other insurances are in a different section. Did we decide that? No. But people are making comments about what they know is in the budget. I had somebody comment that that budget looked like it was made by a ninth grader. Well, maybe the state's chart of accounts was made up by a ninth grader. But I can tell you this, I spent many years as a certified public accountant, and we follow the exact requirements that are imposed on us. So if you're going to make budgetary comments, get the facts.
Well, Tom kept saying in the paper and in the media, a few times on TV, that it was $475 for the forward PD budget that was signed and approved by News 3 for 2022. He said it was in the media, quoted in the newspaper, $475. Then he changed it to $425. Then he's given ET $375 when you three signed and approved $318.
What does the 318 include?
Where's Tom getting his figures of
No, where's the
$475?
318 come from? Tell me.
That's the budget that you signed. It was on the door at the end of the year.
Where is it in that budget?
The
I'm
police
telling you
department.
what's probably happening.
The forward
You are
police
only
department.
aware of one number, and because it says police department, that does not mean that's all the cost for the police department. The police cars that we purchase are in that section.
Well, put it in
Why?
there.
Because the state of Pennsylvania gave us a chart of accounts and said, this is what you do. Now, Sandy, if you're going to make comments, please, back it up with some facts.
I am.
Okay, see,
What
no
Tom
offense,
said
no
on the
offense, but-
TV and in the
Tom was actually asking for if anyone had questions for
Newspaper.
the police, for the chief.
It
So
was
we were
never-
trying to ask if any residents had any questions for the chief of police.
Well, I can ask him.
He's not gonna know about
Chief, that's for 1 month. So your first month here, you responded, your staff responded to 156 calls, 56 of them were traffic citations, I think you said, right?
Yes, sir.
How does that compare, like, to say, like, the month before you took coverage here, or like a year before, or 2 years before? How do those numbers compare with prior months?
So we have historical data that allows us to go back to January 1 through 9/11. We're still populating records over, but I believe Mr. Majeski has some data.
Yeah, I pulled some information together in response to a question, and although it's not final, I can tell you in the year ended, 12 months into December 31st, 2020, there were, and this is from Beth Mills, she gave me the printout of her documented cases. In Forward Township, there were 60 traffic citations. 48 of them were by the state police. Yes, right. We did 12. Officer Mike Bassini did 4, Addick did 7, and a part-timer by the name of Glass did 1.
In a year?
In a year, okay? Now,
I also want to just point out that, oh, of course, yeah, I can't talk.
You can talk.
Just wait your turn.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
okay, and in 2021, again, for the year, there were 174 docketed citations. Our police officers did 71. The state police and other departments, which there were 2 from Allegheny County, I don't know where they came from, but they did 103. The interesting thing, of the 71 that the state, our police did, Forward Township, Officer Addick did 30 of them. Officer Natale did 16. So 46 out of the 71 were by 2 officers for a year. Now, I picked up a report from Beth's office, and it went from, let's see, April 13th, which is when Elizabeth Township took over, and I'm reporting on a different time frame than Chief Hunt. There were, catch this, in 22 days, there were 27 citations issued. That's incredible. 25 of those 27 were by Elizabeth Township policemen, 2 were by state. That is, to me, is incredible. It's more than we did in the entire year of 2020.
Because they weren't allowed to.
It's roughly 1/3 of what we did in 2021. And I'm talking 22 days. And people say, oh, there's no problem with the department. Well, I'll get to you in a second. All this information is available at Beth Muell's office. Now, I took her lengthy docket of cases listing and put them into charts to get this data. But it's real easy to see that Elizabeth Township is arresting, stopping, citing, whatever, more people per day than we've seen in a long time.
Were they allowed?
I've got people that
Were they allowed?
what are you gonna do about
Were they allowed to
Rockland?
stop? Were they allowed or were they told not to? 'Cause
Hold
everybody
on,
knows-
Sandy.
You have to raise your hand, Sandy.
When you move forward township, I'll let you interrupt me.
I do live here now.
Oh, well, that's a change.
That's rude.
That's not good.
Yeah.
That's uncalled for.
You're a commissioner, you should be a little bit more professional than that.
Right here,
Just hold on.
it's official.
So, if anybody wants any of this information, I may stick some of it in the newsletter, and you can compare year to year, month to month, what is happening. Now, I've had, initially there was this flood of emails, oh, you did a terrible thing. And then people saying, and one I remember in particular was a woman who owns a business said, that's the first time I've seen a policeman in years. And he stopped by, let me know it was okay to call, he'd be right here. Nobody up here, and I'm gonna end up with this. We three guys don't always agree on everything. A lot of what we do is, we don't even agree on a steal. There's a lot we don't agree on, but I think I can honestly say we all felt strongly, and unanimously, that this was the right thing to do for us who are residents here and the residents of this township. Thomas.
Oh, go ahead.
I do want to point out, yeah, I'm sure those numbers are correct that you said. However, all 3 of you were telling the police department that they weren't allowed to cite anyone or run traffic.
Yep.
Anything with the traffic, you guys told the officers they weren't allowed to do.
That
So,
is
I don't
true.
really think that that's,
Wait a minute,
Like-
wait a minute, wait a minute. I've been hearing that story so long, I'm so tired of it.
That's true.
3 years ago, I had the road crew put lines on Wall Road. If I didn't want them to run citations, they wouldn't put the lines. I had to put lines at the Tabernacle on 136. We have never written a ticket on 136 in Ford Township. And I had to put lines on 51, and they put them under the underpass so they couldn't see them.
yeah,
Okay,
like I
so
said.
if I didn't allow them, they say I did it. I didn't allow them to write citations.
I said 1, 2, 3, 3 of you,
Well,
there's
that's
3
beside the
supervisors
point.
right
I
there.
would never had to put lines on the road if I didn't want them to write citations.
Well, I'm telling you what the officers were told.
Oh,
So-
no, wait,
Which
hold up. We had a meeting with the chief. Why didn't he run traffic, Ron? What did he say?
Didn't have the equipment.
Didn't have the equipment. You need to stop watching a piece of paper.
Like I said.
The stuff you say, guys, is not true.
Yeah, it is.
They didn't have the equipment to run traffic. You need a stopwatch and a piece of paper. And the next month, Advent did about 20 citations on 51. In the first 6 months of the year, we did 0. So that's all like hearsay what you guys are saying. Go ahead, anybody, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Chief, those citations issued, do you track primarily what citations have been issued? What roads are being patrolled and what roads are those citations being issued on primarily?
Since April 11th, it's been primarily 904, 136, 51, and Old River Road.
Because the only reason why I'm asking is I live on a main road and I feel like our road's being watched.
Yeah.
I see your patrol cars there all the time, coming and going. I don't even work anymore, so, So I just don't, that's my curiosity. There's a lot of roads in Fort Township. Are they all being monitored?
They are.
Okay.
Who gets the money for the citation? Elizabeth Township or Forward Township?
We haven't adjusted the state's agreement, so Forward Township traffic citations are going back to the Forward Township.
For now. It's all gonna be that way.
I haven't had that discussion with Judge Mills or her office. There's been no discussion from this body to change that. There's not really a lot of money made in traffic enforcement. And as far as regular traffic enforcement, when you get into what they call mix-up or traditionally called motor carrier enforcement, the fines begin to increase. Municipalities get an increased amount for the fine, but in most cases, it's somewhere minuscule, almost under $25. Yes, sir.
Could you possibly tell us what kind of money does the township get back after they're done paying the magistrate for the catastrophe fund, paying for all of the other things? $100 fine, do we get even $20?
I think, I've heard a number, 10 years to September, $12.
$12.
Yes, sir.
And so we get $12 for something. It's not a lot of money to argue with, is what my point is.
Yeah, I mean, we would have no interest in that unless it was brought to
Police
our attention.
officers, when they go to those hearings, they get paid overtime or not?
Depends on whether or not they're on insurance. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, sorry.
So in fact, $12 isn't even real. If they have to pay a policeman overtime to go over there, they get $12, and they pay a police officer probably $50.
Rick, when we were in the union, police
Oh, I
officers,
know what it was in the.
we was in the union, police officers making $37 an hour overtime. So they'd write a ticket, we'd get $12, they'd go to the magistrate and get $140. So we lose $128 every time we wrote a ticket.
That's the reason I brought it
That's
up.
really good business.
But that's not why we're doing this, it's not financial. We knew it wasn't a good deal financially, but we also knew we needed to do it to protect the residents, and I'm including all of us.
Where's she at?
Yeah, I just had a question because I know people break the law and you're supposed to be pulled over and stuff, but it's also up here, it's seeming that we're like proud of like trying to make a statement that we're pulling this many people over. I mean, I think our township has been a safe township and I don't think we have a lot of issues in this township. It's also making a point that there's so many people being pulled over and it's almost like a scare factor. And it's like, I don't wanna feel like that either, because like, we've had a nice community in an area, and we're up there saying, this many people, this many people, this many people, and it's like a scare factor to not, like, should we not be driving? It's kinda scary, what the way you guys are putting it, is like, we're doing this, and it's like, these cops did nothing, but we also had a good community beforehand.
I was
Yeah.
talking to an ex-policeman this morning. He said he had a friend of his that was a truck driver. He said it was common knowledge, when you crossed the Elizabeth Bridge, it was flat out go until you hit Ross Trader. It's the people coming through that were doing a lot of speeding. I haven't heard of any residents, anybody here been arrested?
Well, you're making the community feel like scared that, like, it's the community that lives here, so we're feeling like we're being targeted. To prove a point that there's like more arrests, there's more this, and it's not like saying anything bad you guys are saying that people are breaking the law, but it makes us feel like a scare factor.
When you go a whole year, when you issue 12 traffic citations,
Yeah, I know.
you are not protecting the people. period.
Well, you just said yourself it was people outside.
Pardon?
You were just saying it's people outside coming through.
A lot of the traffic that goes on Route 51 is traffic going through toward Pittsburgh or this way.
I was just saying how like you're making a community as us the
I'm
people.
sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said as us the people, it's just that's how it's feeling, like more or less a scare factor. Because we're the ones that live here.
You're the
so.
first person who has said that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Are you,
Totally.
you're afraid?
I'm saying, no, you're taking what I'm saying incorrectly. I'm saying the way you're portraying up there, like being proud of these statistics, and it's nothing to do with any police department. I'm just saying what you guys are making it feel is, it's like a scare factor, like trying to say our cops did nothing before, and now it's like, this, there's this many people getting pulled over. It doesn't make us feel good as the community.
No, you're gonna be afraid of them instead of.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying we're scared to live here. I'm not saying that by no means, because I've never been scared to live here. I grew up here.
One of the last citations I looked at, I'm tired of looking at citations, the person was cited for going 37 miles an hour over the speed limit. Now, I don't care where you're from at that point. Route 51 is too fast, and that person needed to be cited.
I don't think
A number of them were 15 miles an hour.
I'm not saying that.
Excuse me, I asked him where he said he was giving the citations, where these citations were given. He didn't say Route 51.
No.
He didn't mention Route 51. You're saying that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
He did not mention Route 51.
This is all.
No, a lot of the speeding,
I did mention.
He did mention Route
I missed that.
That's okay.
a lot of the speeding violations on Route 51. That's because you can't go.
Go ahead, Bill.
Up Kelly Hall.
I've been coming to these meetings about 15 years. And up to 2 years ago, Chief Staley gave that exact same report every month. Every month. And then all of a sudden, the reports quit. No one gives a report. But they gave that report every month for 13 years since I've lived here. And I've not missed but 10 meetings maybe.
If you go back and check all his reports, they all were between 110 and 130 citations a month.
A month.
Most of them were warnings, but he just told us what he's doing. But he showed up here, he gave that report for years. That's all I got to say.
Bill,
On a scare tactic, it happened here forever.
Okay, hold on.
Hey, Tom, I've been on vacation, I'm just running into this. What is the main problem with our police? Can you tell us about it? Is there a problem in the police department?
We're not gonna discuss, as I said in my report, personnel-related items, so we really can't get into specifics, so we're not gonna.
You don't have to give us specific, but I mean.
I think the township's position is that from a financial standpoint and from an operational standpoint, it made sense.
You know what?
Paying them more.
You know what? I'm an early riser. When I say early, it's ridiculous. I get up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I go to bed at 10 or 11. And last night I got up at 1 o'clock. And I turned the light on, and I got a pen and a pencil, and I wrote 63 reasons why we should have got rid of the police. I did that in 1 hour. You know what? There's an announcement on here. You think I'm not, want to tell you about this, you're crazy. You want to be, tell the truth? Later in this summer, when this motion's all calmed down, I'm gonna call a town meeting. You come to that meeting, and I'll tell you every one of the damn 63 reasons. There's 63 of them that I wrote last night myself. I didn't even ask these stuff. 63 reasons why we should have got rid of the police. Not one. There's not one issue. I'll give you one. Our police have never been sworn in. That's a must. That's the first thing you do to a police officer, is swear him in. Whoa. Say, raise your hand. The magistrate called me. She said, hey, you guys never swore a police officer in for 5 years. I said, what are you talking about? They're not sworn in. Our police officers are not sworn in. They're probably It's probably an illegal thing to have them working as a police officer, not sworn into this township. That's one thing.
Why weren't they?
Okay, we're not.
Where were you at?
We're not talking about personnel.
Okay?
Personnel related, so we're not.
You understand that? That's one. That's the first one that's on my list. It's not my job to swear him in. That's why we have a chief of police. That's his job. Who else? Go on.
I got a question. I was pulled over on 51 on Elizabeth Bridge. Okay, and they said, are you on the remote? So they took me to the town of Elizabeth, and I pulled over. You know, there's a lady police officer, she was on the side of my car. And cars were going by, and I said, can you please move on the other side of my car? You're gonna get hit. And she said, well, I said, what did I do? I was going to speed limit. She said, well, you swerved once. I'm like, I swerved once? She said, are you under the influence? I said, yeah, I'm under the influence of a lot of pain. My hip just shot my pain in my thing, and I get a hip replacement. But all they were concerned about was if I had any pills at my purse.
Wait, I don't think, do you have any women?
It was right in Elizabeth
Do
Township.
you have any women police
Female
officers?
female officers at this time.
Not now, it was a while, years ago. And then the point is, it was right before the chief got arrested for throwing all that evidence in the law.
That's Elizabeth Borough.
That's a borough. Yeah, that's a borough. But that's what I said, why do you keep that?
I just want to say, I drive the old Elizabeth Road all the time. I've never seen a Florida Township cop pull anybody over. Do you know how many times I've had cars fly past me? Now they're slowing down. Nobody's flying anymore because they're gonna get a ticket.
Because they weren't allowed.
People were flying more, now they're not. Now they're not.
Gary Shunzo, you guys all know me, Chief, you know my son. And, sit at Ball Road, you'll see some cars flying. I want to touch base on what she said, and I really want to hear from you two guys, because Tommy's answered to everything so far. And it was 3 O's, you guys need to speak up. My son was sworn in, okay? And I support the police 100%, no matter where they're from. Now, and military also. While my son's not here, because he's serving at the base right now, okay? This was his lifelong dream to work for Fort Township. And how it went down, some people are gonna answer to it. Yep. And, don't look at me now, be on my back. Whoa. Okay, now, Fort Township compared to Elizabeth Township is like Pittsburgh to us. Hey, Tom, you know that. Look, Fort Township, we like our guns, we like to shoot our guns, we like to shoot groundhogs. We like to ride our quad up the road to go to our hunting spot, okay? We like to have bonfires, drink a little beer, listen to country music. We don't want a police state here. That's all I'm saying. And Dave and Spring, I got a lot of questions for you, and I would gladly meet you two for coffee and talk about it. But, these citations, how many of them are Fort Township residents? Right. We don't want to be a cash cow for Elizabeth Township. We want to do what we do here without getting bothered. I mean, Zach could have sat in my driveway and wrote 50 citations a day with the stop sign on my road. But he didn't want to.
Wall Road's a dangerous road. That's why I put the lines on Wall Road. Do you remember when I put them down at the bottom of the hill, right by Wall's Farm?
Yeah.
We didn't run traffic one day. And I'm gonna tell you, going down Wall Road, it's 50, 60 mile an hour.
Okay, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot to come out on your side, a lot to come out on this side. I got a big problem with somebody that are in this room, and we'll be talking about it. And, that's what I'm saying. We don't want to be Elizabeth Township or Fort Township. We want left alone. We don't want to police. I don't want to look at them when I see police. I just want to know when I call 911, they're going to be there. That's all, Tom.
I've talked to the chief, had conversations with the chief, and he knows exactly how we operate in Fort Township. And he knows the difference between Fort Township and Elizabeth Township. And I'm sure you can trust his adjustment on what he's doing. I mean, I think you can trust him. If not, it won't work. He knows that. It won't work.
No, it won't.
Right.
It won't.
It's the chief's gonna make it work, we're gonna make it work, Elizabeth Township's gonna make it work. It's up to the chief to do it, he's the guy in charge. I had a nice conversation with the chief. What did I say? It depends on, chief.
Myself.
Depends on him, whether we stay or not. 'Cause
And I know this, the township, my son's Zach's friend, but, you know, a lot of them. But we just want Forward Township to stay Forward Township.
I understand.
That's what we want, Tom.
Yes. And 10 citations in Fort Township is not a lot of citations. If you go on 51, you can get 10 citations a day on the stop sign coming down by my car lot. You can get 10, you can get 15 a day. Not 1 out of 5 people stop at that stop sign. I mean, I was a motorcycle kid, coming past that car lot, Bob knows him, he comes past every night at 3 or 4 o'clock. He's standing on the handlebars, he's standing on the seat, he's standing on one side, going 100 miles an hour. We never did pick that kid up. They chased him all the way down through get-go, and they didn't never catch him. He's been doing that for 15 years up there.
And I know if my son pulled you over and he saw you from Forward Township, unless it's something real bad, you're not getting a citation. You know, that's just the way it works. And we want it to stay, Tom. We just want status quo.
That's your wife.
Thanks for your time.
Enough.
So I guess my question for the supervisors, which you may not want to answer at this time, you say it's a personnel issue. If it was such a personnel issue for so long, why did we hire full-time officers just a few short months ago? And now all of a sudden it's a personnel issue. I guess that's where a lot of people are confused as well, because it looked like we were moving forward with a more robust force, and then just like within hours, all of a sudden, we have no force whatsoever.
I understand.
That's a personnel issue.
This is October schedule. See the yellow lines?
I saw the schedule for
That's it.
quite a while.
Yeah, right, that's 13 days we had no police officers here. 13 days we had no police officers.
But then per chief,
Wait, then we hired people to take over, and everything would seem to be going good. Here's the second 2 weeks of March. The second 2 weeks of March. This man worked 17 straight days. This man worked 17 straight days. This man worked 17 straight days. With 3 guys, that's all we had.
In one pay period, there's 100 hours of overtime. 1 2-week period, 100 hours even. That's what we were faced with.
This shouldn't happen.
You can't,
That should not happen.
to work that much.
We did our damnedest to keep that police force going, and it was okay in January and February. This is March. It's right there in front of you.
well, I wasn't aware of the overtime, but I know per Chief Quantick at the Elizabeth Township meeting, he said since October, Elizabeth Township had only covered 2 partial shifts for Forward Township, and it was because of family emergencies. And Forward was also supporting the borough.
No, you know what, some of that's a little bit far-fetched. It's true, but it's far-fetched. But we had, it was so bad that it was so bad that, what month did you come, Chief? September? October. We have a mutual aid agreement with them for 15, 20 years. He came in October. Who was with you, Chief? Bob Broderick and the other guy.
Public safety, something.
I don't know his name.
Tom, explain what mutual aid agreement.
That means if we have a problem here, they send a cop over and take care of us for that night. Cop gets sick and goes home, he calls Elizabeth Township, they send the guy, he don't come here, but he answers calls here. It's a mutual aid agreement. They were doing so many, they came over and said, we're gonna cancel our mutual aid agreement with Forward Township. Is that true or false, Chief?
Yeah, we couldn't, our mutual aid agreement couldn't get into fitting out our resources to cover full shifts.
Right, that's a
But
bad
then
one.
you did say after that, it was twice,
That is
from
correct.
November through
That is correct.
April.
Yeah, and as far as the Elizabeth burial coverage, I don't have firsthand knowledge of the frequency or the numbers, but I do know Forward Township was covering for Elizabeth burial on midnight shifts.
Zach's working with the part-time.
You guys had so many nights, there was no police in this township, it was disgraceful. It was disgraceful, all those meetings you go to, hear all that stuff. be nice if you were told the truth.
So, final announcement, there was litigation, that had been ongoing for several years involving, that intersection up there with Route 51. And the case was covered by our insurance carrier. We were notified on April 29th that the carrier, along with PennDOT, had agreed to a settlement of the case of $500,000, $300,000 coming from our insurance, $200,000 coming from PennDOT. So that case will be resolved, and a release agreement will be circulated and approved.
That's how corrupt the courts are. 10 years ago, I wrote a letter to PennDOT saying make that a right turn only. And they came back and did a study, it took 3 months. And they said, oh no, that's a safe intersection. What else could we do? So they go and have an accident, a guy gets to be paraplegic, and we pay more than PennDOT. And the judge said, well, you could ask for another survey.
Today, that guy came out here, who Tom's referring to, he told us, it's a safe intersection. I called him out of here, you almost got hit making a left turn on the 51. It was kind of funny, but it wasn't. That's what we were telling him, that's a dangerous intersection.
You know, the lawyer for our insurance, I met with him, I was gonna be the witness at the thing. I wrote the letter, we wrote the letter, whoever wrote the letter, and he said, okay, they want us to pay $200,000, but I'm gonna argue that we're not liable for any of them. I said, yeah, you should do that. I said, because don't forget, I have all the letters in there. Yeah, he called me a week later, they canceled the court, they settled out of court. He won, we paid $300,000 instead of $200,000. Yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
When you were talking about that, whatever happened to, I don't know how long ago it was now, maybe a year or two ago, when they put that red light up at Round Hill Road? They had that, they put those,
Stop signs?
no, they put red lights on.
Yeah, they did red light.
Was that a study? Because they need a red light there.
They turned it into a four-way stop.
No,
No,
where Round Hill Road crosses 51 onto Mentor, no.
No, I don't think it was a study. That was a detour. That was a
Well,
detour.
if it, whatever it was there for, it stops that traffic from flying down that hill and running into people sitting at the bottom of the hill at the red light. And that is a dangerous.
I didn't bring the paper, but this is the least dangerous intersection in Ford Township. Go figure. There's less accidents here than 906, less accidents here coming out of Hutchinson Road. This is the most dangerous, the least dangerous of them all. I don't understand it, but it is. I think maybe because everybody's aware of how dangerous this intersection is. I hope I answered everybody's question. Oh, Rick Reese, you have, well, hang on a second, guys. Rick Reese. Well, I got it right here. Rick Reese has a question. This obviously didn't follow instructions. It's not an agenda item. If you want to know what's in the general account, Rick, you come up tomorrow morning, go in there and see Karen. We'll give you the whole thing, put it right on the desk for you.
I don't wanna see it, but I would like to talk to you, let me do.
Oh, we don't want to talk about it. We want to talk about it. That's not on the agenda, Rick. You're breaking the rules.
No, it's, actually, I'm not.
Not what?
Did you pay the bills tonight?
I don't know.
You don't know if you paid the bills?
Yeah, we paid the bill.
I wanna talk about the expenditures, the general fund. That was on the agenda, so.
Come up to the building tomorrow.
I don't wanna come up to the
Okay, then you ain't gonna get an answer, anybody else.
Hey, wait a minute.
No, I
Did you say that anybody could come talk to you?
I'm trying to be nice, but.
So am I.
Yeah, you have what, nothing? I do. No.
Okay, so you said, you guys sat here tonight going back over the former Forward Police
Thanks for
Department.
coming.
Wow. Yeah, really. Wow.